Am I live? It's red. Hopefully that means I'm live. I went on a minute early because I am trying to get everything taken care of. So hey there, welcome to Wednesday Night Live at 5. Real quick, this is your 1 to 2 minute warning. I'm going to check that I am live on Facebook and YouTube. So go grab your favorite drink before we get started. I'm going to check. I don't want to go there. Okay, do I have volume? I don't want to turn it up too loud. All right, so it does look like I am live on Facebook. And let me just check YouTube real quick. Looks like I am live on YouTube. Okay, and I have volume. So I'm going to turn this down. Okay, so I can see I have a whole setup tonight. I have my old phone set up so I can see comments on YouTube. You know what? Let me get my other phone set up because I think I can check on Facebook on my phone. Go here. Because tonight I'm using my iPad for my script because I didn't want to waste paper. Silly me. No, I don't want to switch to me. Okay. So I'm muted there. All right. I'm going to have to figure out the setup a little bit. I do prefer this background. It looks a little cleaner than the red background when I'm facing my computer, but it is harder for me to see comments. So we'll work with that. But for tonight, I think this will work because I can see Facebook, I can see YouTube. The only thing is that I do notice that on Facebook, everything is coming up properly as far as like links, but on YouTube, I don't think they are. So I'm going to have to look up what my settings are and see what that's all about. So let me get a little bit comfy and grab my iPad so that I know what I'm telling you is accurate. One of these days I'll have it memorized and then I'll change it, right? So hey, hi, how are you? I'm Heidi. I'm a work at home handmade business owner at HeidiMind.com, as well as a homeschool mom of an 11 and 13-year-old girls. 11-year-old and 13-year-old girls. I go live here. I still have tweenage girls on my script, so I'm going to need to change that. Go live here on Facebook and YouTube on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. During the live, I share about things going on in my business, homeschooling, and in our personal lives. Be sure to follow on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube to get notifications when I post videos or go live. Feel free to hit the like or thumbs up button, as this helps more people just like you see the videos and come hang out. If you are joining me live today, please comment with #live, or if you are catching the replay, please comment with #replay. This helps let me know when you are watching and if I need to change up my times or my days. If you haven't already subscribed, please be sure to check the pinned link to sign up for the email list for updates about new products, blog posts, sales, and other fun things going on. And I know that that is not showing up on YouTube, so I will, let me see if I can add it right now since I have that up. My cat just jumped up on the table behind me. That is Alice. HeidiMind.com. slash subscribe. Aha. I don't know if that's going to show up as a link, but that's where you go. So again, I will try to fix that in the future. Where is she? Oh, okay. And now she's bored. All right. So it is March 29th. I cannot believe we are at the end of March. This year is going really fast and kind of slow all at the same time. So yeah, interesting year already, to say the least, right? So last week I did not have a chance to visit with all of you because we were at the zoo. My oldest daughter turned 13 around the middle of the month, and she really wanted to go to the zoo, but she was also waiting for something to come in the mail. So we pushed out her zoo experience until she got whatever it was in the mail. And it worked out in our favor because last week was our spring break. I know, weird, right? Homeschoolers taking a spring break. But we didn't have any on-site classes last week. So it was good because I didn't have to drive back and forth to the school a bunch of times. I only had to drive the one time to Sacramento. So we took my mom and my father-in-law, and we got there pretty early. It's a fairly small zoo. I can't remember if I'm sure I've been to the San Francisco Zoo. To where I'm located in the East Bay Area, I'm kind of in between Sacramento and San Francisco. They're both roughly an hour from where I'm at. So technically I could go to like any of those surrounding places and it's not too far. I don't particularly love driving, says the woman that drove to Florida. But I especially don't like Bay Area driving. And for some reason, Sacramento is a little bit less Bay Area driving because they're not really the Bay Area. So we opted to go that route. It was about an hour away. It was a very quiet drive because most of the schools in our area are also on spring break. So it seemed like traffic was pretty mild. It was kind of drizzly when we got to the zoo, but there wasn't any like heavy rain. There was, I think, a school or maybe two schools doing a field trip that day. I felt like we didn't see them until after 10 o'clock and they were gone by noon. So that was like a super quick little, like, they were there, then they were gone. So that was nice because it wasn't like overcrowding in that space. But yeah, it's relatively small. They have a decent little setup. They did have giraffes, which was the only important thing to my 13-year-old. And we did get to feed the giraffe. So that was really cool. Zoos are, my Sprint, well, close my Sprint. Sorry, I got a phone notification. I don't know. Zoos are always kind of weird to me. Like, on the one hand, you're thinking, oh, this poor animal, they're in captivity. They should be out in the wild. But then on the other hand, you're kind of like, well, if I had to be an animal, I think I'd rather be an animal in a zoo where the people that worked there liked working there, because like legit, to just be an animal that gets to eat and sleep and play whenever I want, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. So I don't know. Whatever your opinion, I respect that. This zoo seemed to be clean. The people that we talked to were amazing as far as like the employees. Maybe not in the food area, but the woman that we were talking to at the giraffe location, she was just very excited about her job. You could tell she really loves what she's doing. She knew a lot about different animals in the zoo, not just the giraffes, but even the information that they could tell us about the giraffes that they had there. Like, it's like they're the, their pets. They're part of their family. It was really nice. So I thought that was really interesting and, you know, reassuring to my own kids who are like, you know, raised in California, thinking that all zoos must be bad. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes maybe a zoo isn't a horrible place, because my kids would never get to see a lion unless we had one in a zoo, and a giraffe. And apparently my mom has never heard of a capybara. So although we didn't get to see them because they were eating in the back, but we could kind of, like, there was a red glass that separated us, so we could kind of see their shadows a little. So that was cool. But yeah, I don't know. It was cool. It was fun. And then we came home and it was just a nice time. I am keeping up with certain tasks around the home. These are my home updates. I don't know. I don't know if it's like we're getting spring fever or a little cabin fever-ish, or I don't know. But yeah, maybe it's just this time of year. We had a lot of rain this year, and I normally love the rain. But I love the rain because I like to curl up with a book and listen to the rain while I read. So you can't do that as much when you have to do all the chores. I don't know. So we've been mostly keeping up on things. But I think I am finally getting to the point that the rest of California is at, where they're like, okay, the rain could be done now. So I am getting to that point. Okay, the rain could be done now. I'm not ready for the heat yet, but I do need to do some garage sales. I need to get rid of some things in the backyard that are under my patio cover, in my shed. So I can't do that with the rain. So yeah, unfortunately, I think I am ready for the rain to stop, sadly. Although it like now it's not raining, but before I went live, it was like pouring down rain, and I love the sound of that. So I'm bummed that I couldn't share that with you. And since I'm talking about the rain and all of that, the rain and roof saga. If you've joined me before, you know that I had a problem with my garage roof leaking, and it is a brand new roof. I did have the roofers out. They came out twice. This last time, I knock on wood, I really think that it's fixed. I've got like a little stain on the sheetrock in the ceiling, but it's not, it hasn't grown. It hasn't leaked since. And it's just the sheetrock. Like my garage is not finished. If you look at some of my older videos, you can see that like this is fake behind me because it's a garage door. And we've got sheetrock up, and there's some really old burgundy, like dark paint. But I do need to tape and mud and finish the room eventually. So I'm thinking that might be this fall, because I know I'm not going to do it this spring. There's just not time and money to do it right now. And then we visit my grandmother for a month, and then it'll be way too hot to work in here, because it does get triple digits in the summer. Not all summer. It's not like Arizona heat here, but it's just, it's too gross to work in, to do that kind of work. So fall chore, maybe I'll record it. Maybe I won't. I'm not sure yet. I'm deathly afraid of ladders. So last year I had really talked myself up to being able to get on a ladder and tape and mud the ceiling and then paint it. And this year I'm just not so sure about it. So we'll see. We'll see. Because in my house, the ceilings are kind of short. It's a really old house. But I didn't like getting on a ladder just to do like the corners. And I had the thing for the ceiling, but yeah. And in the garage, I think I'm an extra 2 feet lower, I'm at least 1.5 feet lower than the rest of the house. So then the roof is higher. And I'm not watching myself, so I don't know how I look when I keep rolling my eyes, but it's because I keep looking at my roof, my ceiling, roof, whatever. So I have talked about the patio cover, which is also new from last year. And when we had it installed, it didn't rain until like this whole season. I don't know. I guess we had a bit of rain towards the end of last year, but then mostly I think it's been a lot of this year rain. And I noticed that on one section of the patio cover, the water was definitely not coming down the drain, but it was like coming down the gutter, like not over the gutter, but down from, like, the best way I can describe it is I feel like if there were screw holes in the bottom, that it was like pouring out of those. Like that's what it seems like to me. And I was told, oh no, it's the gutters. They're probably dirty from when the roof was done or the solar was put on or blah, 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 blah. Because I'm going to go all feminist right now and say that men really like to just tell us things as women, and we're just supposed to believe it. Well, I worked in HVAC for 13 years. That sounded kind of slurry. I worked for my dad's heating and air company for 13 years. And granted, I did not work on the systems. I don't pretend to be a professional. But my brother worked with me. And if I asked him about something, if I had to write up a report and I said, well, what does this mean? He would explain it to me in technical terms. And it got to the point where I understood what these parts were and I understood what the replacements were. So when customers would call up and they'd say, I don't understand what the tech just told me, I could use analogies to explain to them what it was. So if you know anything about heating and air, or if you don't, a couple things is that a hard start kit in your air conditioner is kind of like a pacemaker, and it just kicks the air conditioner into gear when it needs to be, or gets it going when it needs to. You can have a furnace without an air conditioner, but you can't have an air conditioner without a furnace or some kind of air handler to blow the air. So it's like this whole thing. And the techs have these wonderful ways of telling you things that don't make sense if you're not a technician. And so I was always trying to explain it to people in layman's terms because that makes sense to me. I have used different kinds of machinery. I know how to use a drill. I know how to use a hammer. I know how to hang shelves. The majority of the shelves in my house, I hung them up. I put together and hung a ceiling fan by myself. Like I've done things. There are certain things that I've done. I have a commercial embroidery machine that I am the only one that does the service on it. This machine behind me here is older than I am, and I do the service on that machine. I do not take it in to be serviced. I take care of it all myself. With my computer, I fix my computer myself. Not the inner parts. I'm not good at the inner parts. But most of the other stuff I can troubleshoot. So I'm pretty good technically with things. So when somebody tells me that it's the gutter that's full, I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Well, my father-in-law came out and he cleaned the gutter, and well, the roofing company supposedly cleaned the gutter because even though they're trying to tell me that they didn't fill the gutter with all of the roof gunk, it has to be the roof gunk because I don't have anything else over there. So regardless, they said they cleaned it out. It still wasn't draining properly. My father-in-law came over. He gave it a little bit of a clean out. He also cleaned out the drain, which was full of roofing debris, like big chunks. So at least the drain was actually draining some water. But I looked out today and it's still doing the same thing. And even when it's not raining hard, it's still got like a little drip, drip condensation thing going on. But none of the other sections of the patio cover do that. And I did call the installation company, the patio company. They didn't return my phone call. So unfortunately, they're going to get the not so happy side of Heidi, because I feel like if I paid money for something, that people should at least return my phone calls, you know? So anyways, I'll let you know if that gets fixed. I just don't want it to get like rusted out or ruined. And I don't know, people are like, oh no, it's aluminum or whatever, and it'll be fine. And I'm like, yeah, until it's not. And I know how warranties work. That's not what I'm looking for. So anyways, I'll let you know how that goes. I will. You know I will. I think I've mentioned before that the girls and I have been watching the Psych series. My husband and I used to watch it when it was live on TV, when it was actually airing live. And I find it hilarious. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and so I love 80s and 90s pop culture. I don't know that everyone that grew up in the 80s and 90s loves 80s and 90s pop culture, but I absolutely do. I have a very bizarre memory. I remember very strange things. I will watch a movie one time and walk away remembering a lot of catchphrases or different like character lines. The girls and I went to lunch today, and someone sat next to, or like not next to us, but like in the table across like the walkway. And I'm like, oh, I went to high school with that girl. So I remember people. I remember people forever. It's sad. It's a little bit of a curse. I tend to embarrass people when I say things because, of course, it's not normal to remember somebody that you went to high school with 30 years ago and have not spoken to. And you weren't even, like, we weren't even friends. But I remember things. So maybe that's why I am obsessed with 80s and 90s pop culture. I wouldn't say that I had like the greatest of childhoods, but it was very TV and movie centered. Those were great memories of, we had really good cartoons on Saturday morning, and we had great, like we had TGI Friday, and there were just some great groundbreaking shows and movies and music and all kinds of stuff. So YouTube is going to be doing a podcast, something on their YouTube music. Like you can have a podcast. So that is what I'm thinking about doing, is some 80s and 90s pop culture podcasts. If you are interested in that, let me know what you would like to talk about. But Psych is a TV show from the early 2000s, and it is just chock full of 80s and 90s pop culture. I absolutely love the actors. I think they're all hilarious. They have great on-screen chemistry, and the guest stars that they bring in are fantastic. They are definitely 80s and 90s icons. So it's been a lot of fun to watch that with my kids, except that I keep trying to explain to them, like, this is what that person is from. And my kids don't know the pop culture references. So then I'm like, okay, we're going to add that to our list of things to watch. Like, they had Corey Feldman and Christy Swanson, and which obviously Corey Feldman, huge 80s, 90s, huge. My kids have never seen Goonies. So that's definitely on our to-do list. And Christy Swanson was the original Buffy. I mean, she's done a lot of different things, but she, like, I loved the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was addicted to the TV show, but like the movie definitely has just great memories of watching it, because I know it didn't go the way that the creator wanted it to, but it was funny. And And she did a great job in that. So I think she's hilarious. And yeah, so my face keeps lighting up because when I move my iPad, I've got the brightness up clearly too high. So we're almost done with the Psych series. There are 3 TV movies that they came out with over the years. So we're going to be watching those. And then I'm not sure what direction we're going to go in after that. My oldest and I had been working our way through the Marvel series, and we had stopped. I forget what movie we stopped at, to be honest. But I know that the next movie in the series that we need to watch is Wakanda Forever. And we just kind of lucked into that had we kept going, we would have gone back and watched Wakanda Forever. But regardless, we will end up watching that and finishing out Avengers. I kind of feel like maybe eventually I'll rewatch the movies again and maybe do a series about my opinions on the Avengers. The Avengers are not my favorite Marvel group. I know. I'm not like an overly nerdy person. I don't know all of the comics. I really didn't read a lot of them. I don't know all the superheroes and their powers and how they got them and their backstories and their entanglements and whatever. Growing up, we had Christopher Reeves was Superman. Greatest Superman ever, in my opinion. I want to say I've never seen another Superman, but I have, because I have watched some of the newer DC like superhero movies, but I've never watched like a Superman movie specifically that was not Christopher Reeves. So like I saw Justice League, I think. So I have seen a movie with I'm going to mispronounce his name, Henry Cavill. And he's fine. That's great. But Christopher Reeves will always be my Superman. And Batman. Like, we grew up watching reruns of the TV series Batman. And I can't think of his name right now. But he will always be my favorite. He did voiceovers on like so many things. But the TV series Batman, he's always my favorite. And my favorite movie, Batman. I don't know why I'm going off on this tangent. I'm so used to looking at my screen and checking myself that now I'm going off on a tangent. But obviously, Michael Keaton, best Batman ever, begins and ends with that. I have seen the Batman movies of the 80s and 90s, and then I did not watch any more Batman movies. I don't. Obviously, I've seen Justice League. I've seen what's the villain one? I forget now. Whatever. So I've seen Ben Affleck as Batman. I'm sorry, Ben Affleck fans, wherever you are. That's not my Batman. I do prefer Marvel over DC, but I'm an X-Men girl. Like, I've always liked the X-Men more than the Avengers. Sorry. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think Deadpool is getting a new movie, and I don't know if they're like joking around about it or if they're serious that he's going to have Wolverine. I'm hoping that's really a thing, because I would definitely, I Ryan Reynolds. I have just adored him since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Super fan here. Like, this is why I think I need a whole different like thing to talk about the random stuff that I remember. But yeah, because now I want to talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and we're not going to go down that road right now. So yeah, so we're finishing Psych, and then we'll figure out what pop culture rabbit hole I will take my children down. Homeschooling, it is what it is, right? we're nearing the end of the year. So like we don't go all the way to June. We have always ended our homeschool year the week before Memorial Day weekend. So like usually it's like the Wednesday or Thursday before Memorial Day weekend, we're done. It's over. That's it. Stick a fork in it. So like the last few months of school, like once we hit Easter, it's all this downhill roller coaster. The kids have one more in-person class together, and then they don't do in-person anymore. My oldest daughter will still do her middle school in-person until May. But like the younger kids, if you're younger than middle school, any on-site classes are done in April because they do state testing in April. So instead of having spring break, have the kids come back for a week, having testing, having the kids come back for a week, they're just like, nope, we're done. So we have state testing coming up. They have a physical fitness test coming up, and then we'll be done and we'll be ready for our Arizona trip and visiting grandma and all that fun stuff. So the math tutoring is helping. The girls are definitely getting more confident. With my oldest, she is actually starting to not like the way I teach math even more. So that's frustrating. But I had a really good talk with the math tutor. I feel a sneeze coming. And so the math tutor and my daughter and I all talked about it. And I said, look, I like math. I'm good at math. I understand math. So whatever she's learning, my daughter, with the tutor, if they could just send home notes to me about the way that it works for her, I will change to that way. So she is definitely more of a Common Core learner, which is fine. It's fine. It's a few extra steps. But as long as she's getting the right answer, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I prefer, you know, if we don't have to bust out jelly beans every time, which we don't do, but I know people are like, blah, 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 Common Core. Trust me, Common Core math is not your problem. Do some research. Common Core math is not your biggest problem. Look at Common Core social studies, Common Core science, look at Common Core language arts, okay? Then tell me about your problems. But Common Core math, if it takes her a different route to get to the right answer, I'm still just all about that right answer. So I can picture stuff in my head. My kids can't. It is what it is. So that's my only homeschool update, because we don't have a whole lot else going on with homeschooling. I think I have a parent workshop coming up. I'm interested in this parent workshop, so I guess it's not the only update. It's like about handling stress and anxiety in school, and I don't think that they've ever done a parent workshop like this before, so I'm very intrigued. So I'll be doing that. Because yeah, I feel like kids now have way more anxiety in school than ever before, and not just the violence in the schools, whatever violence you want to go ahead and think up in your head, because I'm not going to go into that. But just, you know, depending where you are, in our area, the schools were not shut down, but you couldn't do standard in-person schooling for almost 2 years in our area. They were still doing masks and changing times around and doing altered schedules, and sometimes you could do from Zoom and sometimes you would go into class, and it was very chaotic. So while I think that we could have done a better job in so many areas, at least if we're going to teach the kids about how to deal with that anxiety in a healthy way so that they can deal with anxiety further in the future, cool beans. Because life is not going to get any less crazy. It's just not. I mean, hopefully we don't have to deal with, another 2020 ever again. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in 100 years? Because that's what happened the last time. Anyways. So, business updates. Fun stuff. And I guess this kind of rolls into it. If I'm going to be doing podcasts, I really have to figure out the direction of where my live streams are going to go. Because with YouTube, if I don't show you anything on the camera, if it's just me talking to the camera, then it can automatically be turned into a podcast because I'm not showing you anything. But if I show you things, like if I show you what I'm working on or what I'm wearing or whatever, I guess I could describe it to the camera, as fun as that is. But it does kind of take away from the idea of a podcast. So I have been doing a lot of brainstorming about the direction I want to go in for that, because of course podcast is more work. It's another thing on the list of to-dos. But I do think it could be something fun. And again, with like the 80s, 90s pop culture stuff, that's fun for me. Like, I'm going to watch those movies anyways. I'm going to listen to the music anyway. I have read the books. I lived it. I was a child. I was a teenager in the 90s, but I lived through those eras, and I saw a lot of fun things in that time. So I do think that I can wrap that into my business as soon as I start sewing again. Because honestly, the things that I sew are influenced by what inspires me. So I know that in the past with my business, I have walked a very fine line as far as going into character designs and licensed designs. And I've always tried to stay just to the legal side of licensing. But I think that there's a lot of creativity in the world, and that I don't have to copy someone else's creativity in order to be creative myself. So I might love Clueless. Clueless was released the year I graduated high school. I find it absolutely hilarious. I did not live in that part of California when I graduated, but I can tell you that there are so many things that were parallel living in the California Bay Area to what was going on in the Southern California area. Obviously, I didn't go to a Val party. And we didn't roll around in, well, maybe some of my friends had Mercedes. I don't know. I did learn to drive a Suzuki Samurai when I was learning to drive, which is not the Jeep that Cher Horowitz crashes into things. But they're both like little Jeepy looking things. And I understand the panic of getting on the freeway. So maybe I will do things that in my business are inspired by those things, by characters in Clueless or cartoons that I grew up on or whatever. So I think that like doing a podcast would be fun because it also creates inspiration for myself. But I want to get back to sewing before I take on too much more. So that was on my list of updates. I do have plans to get back to the recorded content. I I have finally cleaned my nails. I mean, they were clean, but like I got all of the nail polish stuff off of them. I keep filing them because they keep breaking. So that's what I mean by clean, like keeping them filed. So I will be doing a new nail video soon, possibly this weekend. I have at least 2 KiwiCo subscription boxes. So if you've been here before, you know. If you haven't been here before, we get KiwiCo subscription boxes every month. We get 3 subscriptions. And we get them all at the same time. So I have at least 2 of those that I need to do. I did find that I wasn't opening ones from earlier in the year and from like last year because we had so many backed up from the previous year. So I may do some extra videos and just do like the whole year of what we got. I don't know. I'll see how that works. But I do know that I have at least like 2 videos to make for KiwiCo. I'm sorry, I have 3 because I just got a new subscription box yesterday. So I have at least 3 videos of that. I have 2 sketch boxes and a 3rd sketch box on the way. Maybe that just came in today. I can't remember. So I have a lot of stuff that I need to record. And Sketchbox, my oldest daughter, that's her subscription. And she's on me right now because she has not gotten her Sketchbox in like 3 months. And she's just like, where is it? So she will be happy when I finally give her all 3 of them. So I need to do those. I will get those up. I will not bombard you with a whole lot of them all at once. I will stagger the release on those because it also helps have some content built up for me. So that I plan to be back on schedule in April with those. Primarily nail videos and unboxings I have on my calendar that I want to release those on Thursdays. I don't know if I'm going to change that up. I'm going to be doing a lot of brainstorming and planning over the weekend. So yeah, I think I'm going to be doing those on Thursdays, uploading them. They'll already be recorded. I am going to be doing clean with me and cook with me videos, and those I might do on Tuesdays. So like one Tuesday will be a clean with me, and then the next Tuesday will be a cook with me. But we'll see. Tuesdays I have not quite like landed yet. I'll say it like that. And then I want to start, mainly I want to start sewing again. Not just for my business, but also because I like to sew and I don't do it anymore. So that was something that really had me going recently. I think I want to start doing a Sew With Me Saturday video. It will not be a live. It will be pre-recorded. And you'll just basically watch me make something. I was thinking the other day that my 30-year my 30-year reunion for high school is coming up. It's still 2 years away. It's still 2 years away. But I was going through some old photos and I was just thinking, like I used to make a lot of clothes in high school. It was fun. I took a sewing class because I knew I was going to get an A in it. And for my final project, I made my senior ball outfit. And I say outfit because I did not wear a dress. I wore pants. They were really like big, fluffy palazzo pants. So they looked like a skirt when I was wearing them. But I was more comfortable because I don't like wearing dresses. And I still have that. It's in a closet somewhere. I don't fit in it anymore. But I am getting back on track with my eating, my drinking my water regularly. I have gotten back on track with walking at least every other day, if not every day. So I have a plan in place to get myself where I want to be. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be so fun to recreate my prom dress in a different color, my prom outfit in a different color, and just kind of update the style a little. Yeah. So I went online and I found, I just got the fabric today. I'm super, super excited, but I don't want to show you yet. So the top that I had made was, because it was two pieces. The top was a halter like vest, and it was this ivory satin brocade. And if you don't know what a brocade is, it's, in this particular case, it was a satin fabric that has almost like an embroidery on it, but it's just the way the fabric is like pulled or whatever. And it had like a floral pattern to it. And then I did satin, well, I did a lace pant with kind of a satin lining. And at the time, I did not know as much about fabric and draping as I do now. So when I went and got the fabrics, I was really looking for what I could afford. I paid for that myself. And I got kind of a stiff lace and then a stiff satin because that's what I could afford and that's all I knew. And we didn't have the internet back then. So I went to Joann Fabrics and that's what I got. So when I was shopping now, I went online and I knew what I wanted, and I found a really pretty lace that is black and it has a great drape. And I found, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same brocade fabric, but in black instead of in cream. And then I got like a black lining and Buffy the Vampire Slayer memories popping up in my head. There was an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where Anya wore these lace pants and they looked see-through. And I loved them. Because they had a nude lining. But you could tell it was a nude lining because it really didn't match her skin like all that perfectly. And so that I'm like, that's what I want to recreate. Not her exact pants, but something similar. So, yep, that's what I'm going to do. That will be a later task, but I wanted to get the fabric while I was thinking about it, and I found a really good price on it, and so I grabbed it. So that just kind of got my brain thinking like, oh, I want to start sewing again. I want to do embroidery. I am going to get back to making bags, making key fobs and the accessories and the ears that I make and all that. That will be coming back in April. But I worked at Joann Fabrics for a couple of years in my early 20s, and they would give you, like, you got an employee discount, and then you would get just before Thanksgiving, you would get your like employee day. And it was, I think it was like 50% off of everything in the store on top of whatever the discount was. It was ridiculous. It was insane. And I dropped a lot of money on those sales. And now and this is 20 years later, I have bins and bins and bins of fabric. And it's not like the quilt women that are like, I have bins of fabric. Because they have like little pieces of fabric. They have like fat quarters and they have half yards. And they might have a couple yards if they thought they were going to do like a binding or a backing or something. I was buying full bolts of specialty fabrics. I bought an entire bolt of raincoat fabric because I thought it was cute, and it was 88 cents a yard in the 88 cents a yard in the clearance section, and I got half price and then a discount on top of that. So I think I paid like 10 cents a yard for this fabric. I bought the whole bolt. It was a brand new bolt. I'm like, don't even measure it. I'm like, you can measure it, but I just want the whole thing. It was still sealed in plastic. It was ridiculous. So, and I went crazy on patterns. I have bins of patterns. I have an entire bin of patterns that I need to take down to one of the local schools and see if I can just donate them, because I tried selling them once and it's really hard to sell patterns on the internet. Because even if I only paid $1 for them, the fees that it costs to put something online to sell it, it raises the price so much that, I mean, other than the fact that most of my patterns are discontinued now, it nobody wants to pay for that. They just don't. And then you have to pay for shipping. So I'm like, I'd rather just donate them to a school. It's fine. And then with the birth of the internet, there are a lot of online pattern shops that sell digital patterns, PDF patterns. So you purchase the pattern on their website, and then you print out your pattern pieces and you have to tape them together. It's a whole thing. I know some of them now you can send them to a print shop electronically and have them printed out like a big pattern, like blueprints or whatever. I don't know how much that costs. So that will be part of my adventure in sewing, is seeing how much that costs versus piecing the patterns together and then cutting them out. I have made some of these patterns previously. Mostly they were kids ones. I made my kids Christmas dresses a couple of times, that sort of thing. But when I was organizing, like when I had this whole brainstorm moment, I was like, oh, I'm going to go organize some of my patterns, because I keep them on my Google Drive and I have a hard drive for them. So I was going through and I was organizing them, and I have hundreds of them, hundreds. And I was like, where do I even begin? Where do I even start? So I started looking. I went back to the pattern companies, which was a bad idea because then I'm shopping. But I didn't buy anything because I have a goal that I need to get through the pattern to have first. However, some of these pattern companies have free sections, and they're not like super technical patterns. We'll say that. They're not super technical. Some of them are, medium skill level, but most of them are basic sewing skill level. Fairly simple. There's like a dozen different hair scrunchie patterns. But there's like a few different styles of apron and stockings and gloves, hats, headbands, napkins, stuff for pets. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So while I was waiting for my daughters yesterday at their tutoring, I had a list of all of the patterns. And honestly, there's over 100 patterns that are free from the companies that I purchase from. I think it's close to 200 free patterns from all of these different companies. So those are the patterns I'm going to start with. So those are going to be my Sew With Me Saturdays. It will not be a step-by-step. I am not going to make these tutorials at this time. When I was writing them down, I was really looking at making like 3 to 5 different patterns in one video session. Because some of them are fairly simple. They might only take me like a few hours to knock out 3 to 5 different things. Like scrunchies, those don't take very long at all. So that's what I started doing. I started plotting and planning the different patterns when I want to release them, when I like on my channel. I will link back to the pattern companies so that if you want to purchase them, that you know where to go to find them. The fabrics that I use will most likely be from my own stock, so a lot of it may not be available anymore. I have been gifted a lot of fabric over the last 10 to 20 years. So on top of the fabric that I've been hoarding, and I was gifted more fabric. I never thought to buy like quilting cotton when I worked for Joanne Fabrics. I wanted satin. I wanted like lace. I wanted brocades. I wanted really pretty, shiny, glittery stuff. I had never worked with knits before. So that got me on a whole different brainwave when I was thinking about that. I'm just checking my notes to make sure that I'm staying on the right topics, because I know that with sewing I can usually stay on topic. And I should also check the time because we are getting close to the hour. So basically with my notes is that with my business, I'm not where I want to be. I do work with a couple of different business coaches. It's not as glamorous as it sounds. There are a lot of business coaches out there that don't charge very much money. If you ever want a referral for a business coach, I don't get paid for that. So I'm happy to give that to you privately. If you do look under my channel, I think there's something about videos I like, and that is one of my business coaches. And I have absolutely no problem referring her at any time. She's amazing. Personally, I feel like she's more of a tough love coach, which I appreciate and I need. So like, that's just like a warning. It's like, there's no excuses. It's, she gives you the path to follow, and you have to really do the work. So there's that. And there are a lot of coaches that aren't very expensive, and maybe they're good and maybe they're not. I don't know. The ones that I follow, I vibe with them. So that's what works for me. And they know I'm not happy with where I'm at, but I'm trying to find the motivation to move forward and to do the things that I want to be doing. So that's why I think that between the podcast idea earlier and this sewing idea, even if I'm not specifically selling things directly, I'm getting back into making things, which is what I love to do. It's why I have my business. It also will get rid of some of my overwhelming stash of fabrics, which makes room in my sewing space for me to be able to make the things that I do want to sell. So one of the things, as I was going through like the patterns and whatnot, I realized that I had paid for, if you've never heard of Craftsy, Craftsy.com is a website, and they've been around for a long time, but I think they're in their third ownership now. When they started out, it was that they had some free classes and some paid classes, and you'd pay for a class to learn how to do something. And it could be quilting or sewing or embroidery or machine embroidery, or there were different cooking classes you could take. There were some photography and some like art in general, like drawing, painting, like different mediums of that. And at the time, I really had wanted to learn, and this is probably a good 10, 15-ish years ago. I honestly can't remember how old Craftsy is. I really can't. So when I found Craftsy, when I was introduced to it, I really wanted to learn about sewing with knits. Knits are stretchy fabric. Stretchy fabric. It's a whole different beast than sewing with a quilting cotton or even with a specialty fabric, because I've sewn through fabric with sequins. I have sewn with fabric that is faux fur. I've sewn with vinyl and leather. I tried to make a bathing suit once and it was horrible. It was so bad. So bad, because I didn't understand the dynamics of it. And this was over 20 years ago. So, I mean, I was fairly young still. I've always had a sewing machine. pretty much most of my life. I was gifted sewing machines when I was younger. This sewing machine here was a wedding gift from my father to my mother. And when my mom got an upgraded machine years ago, she gave me that one. And normally you would think, why aren't you getting a new one, Heidi? And I had a newer sewing machine. I had a really nice sewing machine. It was fine. This thing is amazing. If I were to put this online for sale, I could probably get more than what my dad paid for it. It's an amazing machine. It is a Kenmore. I will do a whole video just about this machine because it's awesome. It was one of the first at-home embroidery machines. It doesn't do what my embroidery machines do, but it does monograms. There's these cams that you put inside of it. It does all kinds of different decorative stitches. And it is a tank. It is made out of metal. It is incredibly heavy and it will sew through anything. I have made bags on that machine before. I have sewn through at least a ½ inch of fabric without a problem at all. Sews through it like butter. It's a monster. I do call it Beast. That is the name of the machine. You can see my Blue's Clues sticker here. It's a puff sticker. I love it. But yeah, this is Beast, and I will do a whole thing about that because magically enough, we still have the majority of the parts for that. I think I'm only missing 2 decorative stitch cams and the letter I template. I'll have to check about the buttonhole stuff because the buttonhole thing might be broken, but otherwise that machine is amazing and I've used it forever. Forever. It's the first machine I ever sewed on. And I'm going to try to move a little. See, I've got my water. Can you see my water? Gotta wait till the camera catches up. There, yep. Okay. And this is my serger. Had to think about the name. Sergers. Oh my goodness. So when you're working with knits, I thought you had to have a serger. I thought it was going to make my life so much easier. I bought a serger years and years ago. I could never get the tensions right. I hated it. I thought it was broken. I sold it for maybe $100. And the lady that bought it had the nerve to email me and was like, there's nothing wrong with this machine. You just lost out. And I'm like, I didn't lose out. I wasn't using it. It was literally taking up space. No, it was just a humongous paperweight. Trust me. It's your gain. Just take it and you don't have to be nasty about it. And then I decided to buy another serger for whatever reason. And that's where we roll back to Craftsy. So I wanted to learn about working with knits, and I bought a class about sewing with knits. And this teacher never uses a serger, ever. All she uses is a traditional sewing machine. And I'm like, okay, but I want to learn how to work with this serger. I want to use it for the things it needs to be used for. If you take a look at like a t-shirt and you see in the side seam how it's like a zigzag stitch and it's all covered up, that's a serger. It like zigzag stitches, evens out your end, cuts off fabric. It's awesome. And it's not only used for knits, it's used for a lot of different things. My aunt helped me make my 8th grade dress. She made it for me. I helped her make it. I don't remember. I think I helped her make it. Like I cut things out and I pinned things together and she sewed them. But we did use a serger for that because with satin, it will fray if it's just left open. But I want to learn how to use it for knits. Like that's my goal. So I went back to Craftsy, and it was a few years later, they finally had a class about working with sergers, and that really helped. There are certain things that I can learn just by reading about them, but sometimes, and there's certain things I can learn just by hearing, but when it comes to technical stuff, I really need to see how it's done and then repeat it myself. And then sometimes rewind it and do it all again. So I really liked this class. And I think I will do, like, some of my sewing videos will be about some of the craftsy classes that I've taken, or that I paid for and I still need to finish watching. A lot of them I watched the first way through, but I didn't actually do the sewing. And so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to actually do the sewing. So like the working with knits, there's 5 patterns, 2 different t-shirt patterns, a dress, a pair of shorts, and a pair of leggings. I think that's what it was. Maybe it's a skirt and leggings. I don't know. The class for the serger, you make like an apron and a little zipper bag. So those are cute. I purchased a class about making my own jeans. So I'm super excited about that because I think they call it a sway bag. I don't know. But like jeans, no matter how well jeans fit me, whether I'm heavy or whether I was thin, like there's always this huge gaping piece of jean at the back of my, my upper back. So I want to make my own jeans so that I don't have that anymore. So I'm excited about that. But they do have free classes. I did take a free class once about making pizza dough. That was super fun. So I'll do that probably this summer when I have my pizza oven up and running, because I have a pizza oven in my backyard. There's some that are bread making, which I keep saying I want to try. If you want to see a bread making video, go check out At Home with Sarah Jane. She just did one recently that I watched and it's amazing. She did some French bread and I was just telling my kids about it today that I'm like, we need to make that because we will either go through like a whole loaf of bread in a couple of days or we will take a month to go through it. So might as well just make it ourselves, right? Yeah. So I think I'm going to do that. The Sew With Me Saturdays, sometimes it will just be doing patterns from online digital pattern makers. I think the ones that I purchase are all small businesses. Like they're all female owned. There's one that I think changed and now it's like a bigger kind of deal. But most of the ones that I purchase from, they are like one woman that's creating the actual pattern and then she has a bunch of people test them for her. And I like that. I like that idea. So yeah, as I do them, I will always put links in. And if that works, if people start watching those, then I will start to do videos of patterns that I actually paid for. Most of the companies I purchase patterns from do an affiliate program. So that may be something that I will start doing. If I ever put an affiliate link, it will always, always, always be identified. You have to do that. If you ever, affiliate links have to be identified in the video or in the writing. Sometimes. I think we've gone over the hour, so I'm going to wrap it up really quick because, yeah. So if there's ever any kind of sewing or cooking or cleaning video you do want to see, feel free to put it in the comments, send me an email. You can send it in a messenger on most social media. I'm usually online off and on all the time. And let me know. And, always feel free to say, hey, do you have any patterns that are this, or can I see the setup of this machine or whatever? I will do some videos as I finish getting these areas cleaned up. Like, I still need to do a little bit of work behind me in order to get the machines plugged in and working. But once I do plan to do some videos showing the machines. I don't know if I love this machine. It's a Singer. I kind of always thought like Singer was a great company. They're an affordable company, but I don't know that they're that great. But sergers tend to be rather expensive, so unless I really like get into a groove and find that I need something that works better than that, that one's going to stay where it is. But that is now my only Singer. I've had quite a few Singers over the years. They don't last very long. I usually always have problems with them. So maybe I'm the exception, but it is what it is. Kenmore, I don't think Kenmore makes sewing machines anymore. I don't think they do. I think I tried looking something up and it's not a thing. My commercial embroidery machine is Redline. I will definitely be doing a video about that. She needs to be, I think I refer to all of my embroidery machines as feminine, but for some reason the Kenmore is always a masculine. I don't know why. The Redline needs to have a full maintenance done, completely cleaned. So I will do a video about that. And then some videos with the machine. That machine, I will probably never do a live sew with me because I'm pretty sure I got a bit of a lemon with this machine. It has an error that pops up very randomly. The company was really, really trying to help me out with figuring out what was going on with it. I bought it late 2019. In 2020, I wasn't really making as many things with it until the holiday season. So I had had it almost a full year by the time we really realized that there was a problem with it. Tech support was trying to help me all through 2021, 2022. I don't know. Every time I would try to get them on the phone, the machine worked fine. And then I'd get them off the phone and the machine would mess up. And sometimes I would sew with it for an hour before it would mess up. And sometimes like it would mess up the very first time. So I'm just gonna, I know how to deal with it now. I'm just gonna deal with it until I can't. My other two home embroidery machines are not Brother. Are they Brother? I don't think they're Brother anymore. I had a Brother, which is a really good machine. If you ever need to start with an embroidery machine at home, I would say Brother is a great, financially reasonable machine. But if you think that you're going to do like a bit of embroidery, always go with a 5x7 hoop at the minimum. If you can afford something that has a larger hoop than a 5x7, go with that. These are Baby Lock. Both of my single needles are Baby Locks. One is 2 years old and one is just about a year old. The year-old one I've never used. I bought it last summer and then I never used it. So I will definitely do walkthroughs on all the machines as I get things set up. And then maybe in the fall, once I have the room kind of finished, I'll do a walkthrough of the room. But it's just like a lot of chaos right now. And that's okay. Sometimes I work in chaos. Not sometimes. I always work in chaos. I love working in chaos. It feeds a fire. Real quick. The only things left really is that I have been having a lot of website issues. If you ever go on the website and you have an issue, please let me know right away. I do have tech support for that. It does take them a little time. For some reason, I don't know. I installed the plugin and I think it broke my site, and then I couldn't load the backup. I think the backup was corrupted. So it was like a whole thing. And tech support was able to fix one of the problems, But then the minute I did a new upload, it was a whole different problem. So like, it's just the new arrivals page. Normally it's supposed to be like 4 images across and then 4 images down, and then you can go to the next page. Right now it's got these huge images, so you can only see them one at a time, and I hate that. But I don't know how to fix it. If tech would have just told me how to go in and change the image size, I would have fixed it already. I don't know. I'll either figure it out or they will. And then the last thing is tea of the week. Finally, I think I wore this shirt. I know I wore this shirt because I looked it up. I did wear this shirt last month, but I never actually showed it to you. I did put it online on social media last month, but as far as I can tell, it was never a tea of the week. So here we go. This is, I gotta wait to see if I can even see it. Here we go. Pretty sure my birthstone is a coffee bean, which, if you know me, completely accurate. So if you like the tea of the week, you can go to the link. I will put the link in the comments in just a minute when the video is over. But it's HeidiMine.com, and then you go to tea of the week, T-E-E, tea of the week. And it will be on sale for 1 week for $14.99 plus shipping, plus any taxes for your area. Government, they always want our money. So that's it. I'm gonna go have some leftovers for dinner tonight because that's how I roll. My lunch was really huge today, so I was like, oh, I'll just save it and have it for dinner. Yay. No cooking for me. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you haven't already, please be sure to give this video a like or a thumbs up, follow or subscribe, and comment with #live or #replay. All of these interactions help to post, that's what happens when I stop looking at the script. All of these interactions help to push this video out to more people just like you. And I think that's it. I think that's all. I'm going to set this down because otherwise I can't use my hand to turn off. Oh, I have to go back into the right app to turn off my camera. So I'm going to talk to you randomly because that's how it works. Oh, even though I have my camera plugged in, the battery was definitely dying. So good deal. Good deal. I will see you next week. Bye. No, click out. Here we go.